Your eyes for a moment, not for meditation, not for prayer, just to listen. What do you hear? Perhaps the quiet hum of electricity moving through the walls around you. A faint whisper of wind brushing past distant buildings. The distant murmur of life continuing somewhere, beyond the room you sit in, or maybe something closer. Your breathing, slow, steady, rising and falling like the tide of a quiet ocean. To us, silence feels like the absence of sound. But the deeper humanity investigates reality, the more we discover something astonishing. True silence does not exist. In one of the quietest rooms ever built on Earth, an anechoic chamber designed to eliminate all external noise, people who sit inside begin to hear something strange. Instead of hearing nothing, they hear themselves. They hear the faint beating of their heart. They hear blood flowing through their veins. Some even hear the soft electrical signals traveling through their nervous system. The closer we move towards silence, the more vibration reveals itself. And this discovery raises a profound question. If vibration exists even in silence, what does that say about the nature of the universe itself? For most of human history, we believed reality was made of solid things. Mountains were solid. Metal was solid. Even the human body seemed like a stable structure built from bones, muscles, and organs. But modern science has slowly dismantled this illusion. When physicists began exploring the inner structure of matter, they discovered something deeply surprising. Atoms, the building blocks of everything we see, are mostly empty space. Inside that space, energy moves constantly. Electrons move around atomic nuclei at extraordinary speeds. Protons and neutrons vibrate with immense energy. And when scientists looked even deeper, they discovered something stranger still. Matter itself begins to behave like waves. Particles blur into probabilities. Energy oscillates in patterns that resemble rhythm more than solidity. The universe begins to look less like a machine made of objects and more like a field of motion. A dance. A vibration. Long before particle accelerators existed, ancient sages in India spoke of a mysterious idea. They called it Nada Brahma. The universe is sound. To modern ears, this phrase might sound poetic, but to those ancient thinkers, it was not poetry. It was a description of existence itself. They believed that before matter existed, before stars ignited, before galaxies formed, there was vibration, a primordial resonance, a cosmic sound. This vibration was symbolized by a sacred syllable, Om, not merely a religious chant, but a representation of the fundamental vibration of the universe. According to ancient philosophy, creation did not begin with matter. Creation began with frequency, a vibration expanding outward through the emptiness of space, gradually forming the structure of reality itself. For centuries, this idea remained within spiritual traditions. Then, slowly, modern physics began discovering something strangely similar. The deeper scientists looked into the nature of matter, the more solidity disappeared. Particles behaved like waves. Energy moved like rhythm. Reality began to resemble. Physics began hearing the music. In the late 20th century, physicists proposed one of the most fascinating ideas in modern science. It was called string theory. According to this theory, the smallest building blocks of reality are not tiny particles. They are unimaginably small strings of energy. These strings vibrate constantly, and the way they vibrate determines what kind of particle they appear to be. One vibration becomes an electron. Another vibration becomes a photon. Another becomes a quark. In other words, the entire universe may be built from tiny vibrating strings. Different vibrations create different forms of matter. To understand this idea, imagine a musical instrument. When a musician plucks a string on a guitar, the string vibrates. That vibration produces a note. Change the vibration, and the note changes. The same string can produce many sounds. String theory suggests something remarkably similar about the universe. The fundamental strings of reality vibrate in countless ways. Each vibration produces a different particle. Electrons, photons, quarks, even gravity itself. Reality becomes a symphony of frequencies. The cosmos behaves like a gigantic musical instrument. Every atom, Every star, every human being, is part of that cosmic harmony. But this idea becomes even more fascinating when we ask a simple question. If vibration shapes reality, can we actually see it happening? In the 20th century, a Swiss scientist named Hans Jenny performed a series of remarkable experiments. He placed fine sand on a metal plate. Then he vibrated the plate using different sound frequencies. At first, the sand moved chaotically, but when the sound frequency stabilized, something extraordinary occurred. The particles began organizing themselves. Lines appeared. Circles formed. Complex geometric patterns emerged. Perfect symmetrical shapes, resembling sacred mandalas, all created by sound. This phenomenon became known as cymatics. Cymatics revealed something astonishing. Sound does not merely travel through matter. Sound organizes matter. It shapes structure. It becomes the invisible architect of form. Suddenly, ancient sacred geometry begins to look less mysterious. Across many spiritual traditions, intricate geometric designs appear again and again. Mandala patterns, yantra diagrams, perfect symmetrical forms used in meditation. For centuries, these shapes were seen as symbolic, but cymatics suggests something deeper. These patterns may reflect the natural geometry produced by vibration itself. The hidden language of frequency shaping the universe, ancient intuition and modern science, describing the same principle from different directions. And the deeper we explore this idea, the more astonishing it becomes. Because if vibration shapes matter, then the universe... Now consider something even more fascinating. The human body itself is not a silent structure. It is a living instrument. Nearly 70% of the human body is composed of water. And water is extremely sensitive to vibration. Every sound you hear, every voice that speaks around you, every piece of music that enters your ears sends tiny waves through that water. Those waves ripple through cells, through nerves, through the brain. In a very real sense, your body is constantly responding to the frequencies around it. This is why sound has such a powerful effect on human emotion. A piece of music can bring tears to our eyes. A gentle voice can calm anxiety. A chaotic noise can instantly create stress. Sound does not merely reach the ears. Sound enters the body, and the body responds. Modern neuroscience confirms something ancient cultures always suspected. The human brain operates through rhythm. Electrical signals move across networks of neurons in patterns known as brainwaves. Scientists classify these waves into different states of consciousness. Beta waves appear when we are actively thinking. Alpha waves emerge when the mind relaxes. Theta waves arise during meditation and deep creativity. Delta waves dominate during deep sleep. Each state of mind corresponds to a different rhythm, a different frequency. The brain itself behaves like a musical instrument. Different mental states are simply different melodies played by neural vibration. Ancient yogic philosophy described something remarkably similar thousands of years ago. It spoke of two forms of sound. The first was called ahata nada. This is the sound created by physical contact. A drum struck by a stick. Two hands clapping together. Air vibrating through vocal cords. This is the sound we hear every day. But yogic texts also described a second, far more mysterious vibration. They called it anahata nada, the unstruck sound. A vibration that exists without collision. A sound that is not produced by objects striking each other, but one that exists constantly beneath all other sounds. Meditators described hearing it deep within silence. A subtle humming, a quiet resonance, a sound that seemed to arise from the very fabric of existence. For centuries, this idea sounded mystical. But modern science has begun discovering something strangely similar. Space itself is not silent. Planets emit electromagnetic vibrations. Stars oscillate with rhythmic pulses. Even the sun produces acoustic waves, moving through its vast ocean of plasma. Astronomers have translated some of these cosmic vibrations into audible sound. When these signals are converted into frequencies the human ear can hear, they produce deep, resonant tones. The universe, it seems, is not quiet at all. It is filled with resonance. A vast ocean of frequencies moving through space and time. A cosmic orchestra playing continuously since the birth of the cosmos. And within that orchestra, the human body is one of its most remarkable instruments. Your heart beats with rhythm. Your lungs move with rhythm. Your brain pulses with electrical waves. You are not merely listening to the music of the universe. You are participating in it. If vibration shapes matter, and matter forms the structure of the universe, then an extraordinary possibility emerges. Perhaps the birth of the universe itself began with vibration. Modern cosmology describes the origin of the universe through an event known as the Big Bang. Roughly 13.8 billion years ago, the universe expanded from an incredibly dense and hot state. Space itself began stretching outward. Energy cooled and condensed into particles. Particles formed atoms. Atoms formed stars. Stars formed galaxies. Galaxies formed the cosmic structure we observe today. But consider the name we have given this event: the Big Bang. A bang is not something we see. A bang is something we hear. A bang is vibration. In the earliest moments of the universe, the entire cosmos was filled with intense waves of energy moving through space. These waves created fluctuations in density. Over millions of years, those fluctuations became galaxies and clusters of galaxies. In fact, scientists have discovered something remarkable. A faint echo of the early universe still exists today. It is called the cosmic microwave background. This radiation fills all of space. It is the oldest light we can observe, a remnant from when the universe was only a few 100,000 years old. But hidden within that radiation are patterns, tiny fluctuations, cosmic ripples. Some physicists describe these patterns as the fossilized vibrations of the early universe, the first echoes of creation. In a sense, the universe still carries the memory of its first sound, a resonance from the moment everything began. And when we consider this possibility, the ancient phrase, nada Brahma, begins to feel less like mysticism and more like insight. The universe is sound, a vibration expanding across billions of years, a cosmic symphony unfolding through time. Galaxies are notes, stars are chords, and life itself is a melody emerging from that grand composition. But perhaps the most beautiful realization of all is this: you are not separate from that symphony. Your body is made from the same particles forged in ancient stars. Your brain produces electrical rhythms. Your voice travels through the air as waves of vibration. You are not merely observing the music of the cosmos. You are part of it. Every human being is like a temporary note in the grand composition of existence, a brief melody played by the universe itself. When we begin to see reality this way, something profound changes. The universe stops feeling cold and mechanical. It begins to feel alive, dynamic, creative. Instead of a lifeless machine, existence becomes a living composition. Every star a note, every galaxy a chord, every human life a fleeting but meaningful piece of music. And perhaps that is why silence feels sacred. Because when the noise of everyday life fades, we begin to hear something deeper. The quiet rhythm beneath everything. The vibration that ancient sages once called nada Brahma. The universe is sound. And if this idea resonates with you, if it makes you pause and reconsider the nature of reality, then you are already listening more deeply than most people ever will. Because philosophy begins with curiosity. Science begins with questions. And both are attempts to hear the hidden music of existence. Thank you for taking this journey into one of the most mysterious ideas humanity has ever explored. If you enjoy exploring the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science, consider subscribing to the channel. There are many more mysteries of the universe waiting to be discovered. Until the next exploration, stay curious and listen carefully, because the universe is still singing.